that was hello. I don't know. I I guess the video just ended. Okay, I thought I had already gone live. Anyway, hello everyone. That was Faderhead with TZDV. And for anyone who's curious what those mysterious German lyrics were, it was basically dance through dance 2 3 4. Yes, very complex stuff. um, now I like that video because as cheesy as it is, it's a good song, and honestly, it is a damn good representation of how I spent a very big chunk of my 20s. Spent a lot of time in darkened rooms that looked a hell of a lot like that, listening to music just like that. Um, Part of the better part of my 20s, to be honest with you. There were a lot of things in my 20s that sucked ass, like post-traumatic stress and living in San Francisco. But I will say the club scene was a fuck ton of fun. Good industrial during the 90s. Is it okay to be German? Well, that's a very difficult question now, isn't it? Right now, it seems like the left in Germany wants it not to be okay to be German. But I've been seeing things on the German internet. Every once in a while, I stumble across them because I'm into this kind of music, and I've seen some stuff that I don't know. I think Germany's in trouble. Uh, there is a cosplay couple that Cat watches who do videos on how to make their own cosplay. They're really good. And the two of them said they're leaving and they're moving to, oh, was it Portugal? Because they basically said Germany's gotten too fascist. Now, keep in mind, they're being ran by the Greens, the left wing government, okay? But in terms of the industrial scene, I've been seeing posts, like I saw a meme, and on one side it shows a German boy dressed as a potato, and then on the left is the same boy dressed as a Nazi. And the translation, because I ran it through the translator, basically said Germany would be freer and better off if he were wearing the uniform on the right, meaning the Nazi uniform. And then in the comments section on that meme, everyone was basically saying, I hate to say it, but we'd be better off under Nazis. So, yeah, I think Germany's, yeah, commie. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So, I think the mainstream press and the left have the voice right now, but I don't know. I think the people there are getting pretty pissed off. I don't know. When you've got Germany saying, I think we might have been better off with the Nazis. Germany should, or Europe itself should be very worried. But anyway, yeah. Aside from that, that was Faderhead, fun band. Faderhead's early work is a lot of fun because none of it was serious. It was all kind of tongue in cheek like that, very humorous. I mean, they had a song literally called "Fistful of Fuck You." There was another one called "Swedish Hookers and Cocaine," or "Swedish Models and Cocaine," and the entire song was about how his tour sucked and he wanted to get to his hotel and have Swedish models and cocaine. Another one about shooting cocaine up his ass. It was all humorous stuff, but I don't know. As time went on, Faderhead started taking himself more and more seriously, and I don't know. I didn't listen to his music to hear serious songs about humanity, love, and his relationship problems and politics. No. I wanted to hear about "Fistful of Fuck You." But yeah, I figured I'd drop in, say hello to everyone. Got up this morning, nearly finished chapter 1 of Siege Engine, which is clocking in at a brief 10,000 words. I mean, that's a pretty long chapter 1. So I'm rapidly approaching the day that I can put this out. I am so thrilled because what it is I've got an introduction, chapter 1, 2, and 3, and all three of them are in various states of nearly done. And it looks like I'm putting the finishing touches on chapter 1. Chapter 2 is almost entirely done. Chapter 3 needs a little bit of work, but like I said, soon as it clocks in at 25,000 words, the first installment goes up. And if chapter one is 10,000 words, well, I think by chapter three, I'm ready to put something up. So, yeah, very rapidly approaching, finally releasing something. Okay, woke or Nazism? That's a shift too far. Well, the thing is Germany seems to be nothing but extremes. They can never ever go halfway on anything. It's either one extreme or the other. It's never moderate, never any moderation. Everything's always to the extreme. Um, and I think there's a great example of that. That I don't know. Have you guys seen the recent? Well, it came out 2 years ago. Rammstein video, Deutschland. Um, Now, granted, for the Western viewer, it probably doesn't really hold the weight that it does for Germans, but I know enough about their history to understand what the video is about. And it is just this one long collection of scenes from their history being played out. And it's one extreme to the next. And again, I recognized what was going on, but I don't think most, let's see, and the lyrics themselves, was it "Oh Germany, how I love you. Oh Germany, how I hate you." But it's got this black woman. Now take that for what you will, as their goddess Germania or Germania, right? So you've got a black woman representing the soul of Germany, and it's just kind of this walk through history of Germany. And you've got this black woman as Germany doing all these terrible things. And the message I took from it is, Germanic or multicultural, Germans are gonna German. But yeah, I mean, they've got scenes. It begins with a scene from the Teutoburg Forest, which, again, most Westerners have no knowledge of. But this is a major part of German history in which the Romans were trying to cross the Rhine, and the Visigoths just slaughtered the shit out of them in the Teutoburg Forest. And it was like they were hanging their entrails from the trees. They were slaughtering and feasting on the bodies, and beheading the Roman soldiers. And it was this major defeat for Rome. And they even stole Rome's golden eagles, which is a big deal. It's even mentioned in I Claudius, if you're familiar with that. But it shows a scene of the Teutoburg Forest, and that's important because throughout their history, that's been like a cultural touchstone for various regimes of the German identity. Um, every time Germany's gone fascist or has tried to drum up or needed to drum up national pride, they bring up the fact that we were the one nation that Rome couldn't conquer. We were the nation that Rome could not cross the Rhine. And there's more to it. Like the Romans had brought in a Visigoth and trained him to be a centurion, and he backstabs the Romans. And that's, again, you cannot take the German out of the, or you cannot take Germany out of the German kind of thing. He'll remain pure to his blood. And you've got a black woman in the Teutoburg Forest, killing Romans, slaughtering them. There's scenes of the Crusades, and again, you got the black woman as the Crusades spearing infidels. You've got scenes of, what was it? Of course, they've got scenes of the Nazis, no doubt. And there's like one in the concentration camp where Rammstein, the band members, are both the executioners and the Jews being executed in the scene. But there's another, and this is one that sadly I think is lost on most people, is you get scenes of them, splitting. You get scenes kind of reminiscent of when Berlin split between the East and West and became communist. And then you get a scene of the Red Army faction. Now, that is something, unfortunately, most people just do not know about. And it's a shame because it's very important for what's going on right now. In the 60s and 70s, a bunch of college students, primarily rich middle class or comfortable middle class white college students who were privileged in Germany, all went communist and formed the Red Army faction, or the Bader Meinhof was what it was better known as. And they were a terrorist group, and they made Antifa look like a bunch of pussies. Um, Over a period of, I think, 15 years, this handful of students pretty much staged riots. They killed judges. They set bombs off at U.S. Army bases. Um, they held all of Germany or all of Berlin hostage for a summer, and that was pretty intense. And they were so effective. They were inspiring other students to take up arms and shoot police. Um, and to this day, there is still on the left this romanticism about Bader Meinhof and the Red Army faction, or Red Army fraction, take your pick. Um, and that scene, they play a scene of them out in the video, and it's like back and forth. First you see them as Nazis, then you see them as crazed left-wing radicals gunning down citizens. Germany can't go halfway on anything, if that makes any sense. So there's a little history lesson for you. But yeah, I'm talking about the video by Rammstein Deutschland. Watch it. Hopefully what I've explained will give it a little better context. There's also a really good movie. Let me get it. That if you want to understand what happened with Bader Meinhof, let's see. Here we go. There was a film that came out that was exceptional. Now you have to watch it in German, or subtitled. There is no translate. There is no dub, which is how it should be. But it was called the Bader Meinhof Complex, which is an incredibly good film about what was going on in Germany in the late 60s and early 70s, and what that summer was like when they held Berlin hostage. Um, it was free for a while on Netflix. You might have to track it down. But really, I mean, you want some insight into what's going on now, watch this. Because one thing that kept coming up over and over again is these kids were just mad just to be mad. They were losing their shit for no real reason. I mean, they claimed it was for communism, and they claimed they were upset about the Shah of Iran visiting. Claimed they were upset about the conditions in Germany. But really, it was just anarchy and guns. They were robbing banks. They were killing people. It was one nonstop drunken party for them. Let's see. Yeah. Germans don't do soy. No, they don't. Even when they try to soy, they don't. They over soy it, right? They're going to kill you with their soy. The battlefield of the Tolnus Valley is Bronze Age battle in Germany. Okay. Another one. But yeah, it's, yeah, the Germans were the slaughtering tribe. They were the ruthless barbarians. And deep down, I don't think that's ever really changed. Amish German religious extremists. You know what? I wouldn't doubt it. Again, Germans don't do anything half-assed. Oh, this is chapter 1, 10K words. You're a George R.R. Martin of whatever the hell you write. Looking forward to it. Hey, I'm not George R.R. Martin, motherfucker. I don't dress like an old sailor and cuck out to HBO. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up. And as for Faderhead, if you're wondering, he's a moderate. He's anti-authoritarian. plain and simple. He's not a leftist. He's not right. He's just anti-authoritarian. It's sad that I have to mention that these days, but yeah. In fact, I kind of try to go out of my way to play bands here that aren't really all that political, or if they are, they're not left. Anyway, guys want me to talk about any other subject? I realize that apparently everyone's losing their shit over, was it Scott Adams commenting on something that basically everyone's saying inside their homes, which is if that many, what was it? Let's see, I want to get the facts right. So, are you guys aware of what the creator of Dilbert said recently and why everyone's flipping out over it? Um, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it ruins him," but no, this dude, Adams, for all his flaws, is a very smart man, and he banked his money. He's got fuck you money. He does not ever need to have his cartoons printed ever again. At 65, the guy's a multimillionaire. He'll do fine. If he really wants, he could probably publish Dilbert cartoons for free on the internet. And what the hell? I thought I heard cat yell, but I'm not sure. Um, oh, that's interesting. I'm trying to find the actual quote, but seems like the mainstream press doesn't really want to tell you exactly what was said and why. What a shock. Um, I'll see if I can't find it, unless somebody in the chat puts it up. I heard the governor of Arizona has a relationship with the cartels. Oh, without a doubt. Not a doubt at all. Yeah, she's owned by the cartels. It's one of the reasons she was able to rig the election. That's not even in question. And that they're terrified of Carrie Lake because Carrie Lake has been very open about sticking it to the cartels. Um, have you ever wrote something for one audience only to have it attract an audience you didn't expect? You know, I think that's my biggest flaw as a creator is the smart creator writes to an audience, and I never did. I just wrote what I wanted to. And looking back, probably pandering would have gotten me further early in my career. It honestly, it never really fucking occurred to me. um, the only time I ever really wrote something for a specific audience was World War Kaiju, and they didn't get it. Um, Wait a minute, Tweldy. I used to respect him, but Adams called me ignorant anti-science for not taking the coof jab. Really? Well, I'm not saying he's right all the time, but he is who he is, and he's very unapologetic about who he is. My opinion on him is mixed. Like I said, there's a lot of things he says that are right. There's a lot that are wrong. He's obviously a little eccentric, maybe a little nuts, but really, he's just a cartoonist. Why is everyone losing their shit? This is one guy with an opinion. So fucking what? I have an opinion. Yeah, Scott Adams has always been pretty based. Let's see. He said basically, no, there was apparently God, I wish I could find the actual the mainstream press is unfortunately trying to confuse the story. They don't, it's very obvious they've got a narrative, so I'm not finding the facts. Yeah, I'm going through all the articles, and they don't want to say why he made the comments he made, which says everything, doesn't it? Essentially, what it was is I forget which one. But a major newspaper ran a poll with the question, asking Black Americans, is the phrase "it's okay to be white" offensive? And oh God, I forget. It was something like 50% of them said no. That's an offensive comment. It's not okay to be white. Now, please, somebody in the comments who has the facts, please post the facts for me. But if I'm recalling correctly, a major newspaper ran a poll, and 50% of Black Americans that they polled said it's not okay to be white. In response, um, Adams said, well, there's no way to work with this. This basically says that 50% of the people polled are essentially a hate group. Oh, it's 25%. Thank you to LD. He said, okay, so 25% of Black Americans polled said it's not okay to be white. And he said, well, that 25% is essentially a hate group. There's no way you can work with this. You can't reason with this. My advice to white people, move the hell out of Black neighborhoods and stay as far away as you can, just like me. I think it was like 60%. Somebody else says. Okay, so I've got two disagreements here already. Well, they've confused the story, so I don't doubt that we've got confused stats. I wish I could tell you for sure which is correct, but I can't. But regardless, 25%. If that poll is correct, okay, if 1 out of 4 Black people say hate white people, that isn't very good odds, that really isn't. And I'm sure that's largely based on a location. I'm sure that has everything to do with what city and what state you're in. I don't think that's really national. But he had said something to the effect of, you can't, that's an unworkable situation, just get the hell away from Black neighborhoods or Black communities and stay safe, or something to that effect. And then he said some other stuff that was pretty based. But unfortunately, I hate to say it, he's not wrong. I really don't like saying that, but he's not wrong. I've been in situations where, unfortunately, as horrible, and it hurts my soul to say this. It really does. It fucking hurts my soul to say this. I've been in situations in which, after a certain number of Black families move into your neighborhood, their problems start arising. Racial tensions crop up. Suddenly there's an us against them mentality, and the harmony of the neighborhood goes to shit, and you want to leave. Nobody is comfortable with that being true, but it is. That's been my experience. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Just like it kind of hurts my soul, and I really don't like the fact that I had to come to the acceptance that, well, all these horrible things happening in Hollywood tend to be coming from God's chosen people. I don't want that to be real. I really don't. I would like to be able to think, okay, we're all individuals. But yeah, there are insular cultures that exist in this country, and in those insular cultures, attitudes and behaviors do crop up. It's everything we were taught to ignore or pretend wasn't real or just overlook in the 90s. In the 90s, it was like we all knew it was kind of true, but we were all going to pretend it wasn't true and move on and just get along. But we've reached a situation where that's no longer tenable. You can't do that now. That's no longer tenable. And it's, to a degree, I mean, I went through a year-long period where having to accept that all these things were real was pretty soul-crushing. And like I said, on some level, in the 90s, we all kind of knew the stereotypes were real, but we felt that they weren't pronounced enough to really matter and just ignored anyway. And we'll all just pretend we're all the same. And it worked. It worked fine. And then, honestly, I blame Obama for dividing us. And it really, really disappoints me that all it took was a black president saying that he wasn't the whole country's president, making it clear that he was only Black America's president to divide us. It really disappointed me that white liberals and so many black Americans immediately snapped into us against them. It's like, just it was like the day before, it wasn't an issue. Then you get Obama saying something, and bam. The black community has issues that it won't address because they will cry racist if you notice them and want to fix them. You're not wrong. I've seen these shit starter families, what you describe. The part of the black community no one talks about. Well, Chris Rock used to talk about it. Ginger Geronimo. For the record, I am the black people's president too. You going to be up for the show tonight, Ginger? I'm going to send you an invite. What do you mean, your people? You people. What do you mean, you people? Who are they? Who is they? Is that what you mean? But yeah, I mean, we all knew there were ethnic differences in the 90s and aughts, and we just chose to go along like they didn't exist, or just kind of tolerate and ignore them and just kind of play along that we really were the same. And it worked. And then Obama came rolling in, and then race politics and identity politics came out of the colleges. And for whatever reason, the millennials took to that shit like crack cocaine. And the next thing you know, race relations in this country have never been worse. It's gut-wrenching to see. And the worst part about it is dividing us, and especially the woke people forcing us to all recognize the differences and then screaming we're racist if we recognize the differences. The worst part about that is they kept going on and on. You notice they keep going on about whiteness. They keep going on about whiteness being genetic, that whiteness is something that is passed down from family to family genetically. That's really, really dangerous talk. It's just like this whole thing about, melanin and blackness is passed down genetically and all that, because what that opens the door to, what that has opened the door to, and I'm really wondering if the left has figured this out yet, is there is tons and tons of research out there that was done about the genetic differences of ethnicities. And in the 90s and aughts, we all just said, okay, we'll just ignore those because that leads down a very bad path. We know where they exist, but we'll just ignore them because otherwise that goes bad places. But the left has been shoving them in our faces and going on and on about how different we all are, and that's why we can't be the same, and that we can't live together, and that's why blacks need their own dorms and all that. And they have opened the door to basically coming back and looking into genetic differences between ethnicities. And I don't know what the fuck the lefties think they're going to find, but they're not going to like what's there. And that's already happening. And, telling white people repeatedly, oh, you're a group and we hate you, is going to make white people basically become a group and go on the defensive and look at the genetics and say, oh, yeah, you're right. We are different. Ethnicities are different. And it's going to go to a very, very dark place. It's the same thing with Asians. I mean, the fact that, they'll pay lip service to, oh, Asians are a part of the community of color. Oh, no, we're not. No, 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 no. We're not in the club. We're targets. Black people love pounding the crap out of us for some fucking reason. I mean, maybe it's the short part. I don't know. But, one too many Asians have had the shit pounded out of them by black guys to know better than to think we're part of the club. The QAnon is the radical right, not the right. The QAnon, if that's radical right, it's harmless. I mean, have you actually listened to what QAnon says? If that's radical right, we got nothing to worry about. Aaron Magruder, the creator of Boondocks, also criticized the aspects of the black community. That's why BET and Hollywood hated him. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a shame he thought communism would solve it, but nobody's perfect. No, it really is. It's soul crushing because I know for a fact that my audience is very mixed and very American. That's as American as it gets, right? Yeah, I had no idea a bunch of you guys were black. And you know what? I kind of like that. I had no idea. Yeah. Okay. Well, Ginger Geronimo here, I kind of figured he was going to, have red hair, freckles, and be pale and be crazy. And I was proven right. But I mean, Ginger Geronimo, right? But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to find out Yang wasn't Chinese, that he's a white guy. That was great. I agree. QAnon is psyop, and you read their propaganda, and ultimately it's stay home and do nothing. That we will win through peace and love and humanity and praying. That's QAnon. You call dibs on Ishi for the whites. Well, I'm half white, but it's Celtic white, so I'm not part of the master race. Keep in mind, the Aryans thought we were mud people, so or we were the degenerated, devolved whites. Yeah, the Aryans did not. The Germans did not like the Celts. They felt we were lesser people too. So fuck it. Um, there's a lot of black on Asian crime in yeah, in Oakland, Chinatown. Well, I lived in the Bay Area. I'm fully aware of how often Chinese takeout drivers were murdered on a regular basis. Um, but I don't know. I see. I know I have a very ethnically mixed audience, not because I looked into it, but because you guys informed me. You guys let me know. I had no idea, and it was I was tickled when I found out just how mixed you guys all were, and that I'm able to meet and talk to you all as individuals. I really like that. And again, it's a bit soul crushing to see the left continually try and force everyone into these boxes and send this repeated message over and over again that the behaviors of one represents the entire group. I mean, frankly, why can't the behaviors of Wolf then reflect upon the entire black community, huh? Why is it always got to be like, some drive-by shooter or drug addict or George Floyd that is the representative and reflective upon all black people? Why can't it be Dwayne McDuffie who was reflective of all black people? They always choose the worst, right? Germans aren't Aryans. Iranian are paler, and the paler parts of India are. Yeah, that one's a little odd, though. I mean, honestly, that's we don't have solid answers on that, and you might know more than me on this, or you probably do, Eloise, because you've been reading. Oh God, what's his name? Let me check real quick. Now, again, I don't think he's right about everything, but his willingness to dig and look at things that historian or archaeologists and anthropologists refuse. Graham Hancock. I think a lot of what Hancock says is nutty, but because he's willing to look at what's forbidden, he's uncovered quite a bit. And one of the things that I was looking into, why are these things forbidden? Well, a lot of the stuff that Grant Hancock is uncovering and proving was stuff that Hitler had funded and had been looking into to help back up his claim about there being a German tie to Persia. And there really might be a tie between Persia and Germany that goes back further than anyone wants to admit, but that's not politically correct to say. I mean, nobody seems to dispute the fact that that the Celtic bloodline, for some reason, goes from Greece to the Basque region up to the British Isles. That was the path that the Celt bloodline took, and nobody disputes that. And then the Vikings came in and interbred with them and gave them blonde hair and freckles. But apparently, there may be some truth to the Aryans, the German Aryans, having ties to the Persian bloodlines and the Hungarian. But that's considered forbidden research because of you know who, and it was all stomped out. And that prior to Hitler, the stuff was okay to talk about in research. The African American attacks on Asian Americans is the mainstay media blames. Yeah, exactly. Chiweldi, I'm African American. I'm African, not American. I'm African, and I hate Black Americans that are ghetto rats. Well, you don't have the baggage of having to be part of that community. And I feel bad for a lot of people because as I said, growing up, I knew Black kids who played D&D and were nerds. I knew Black kids who were goths and punks, and yeah, their neighborhood would pound the crap out of them for it. How dare you not act like one of us? You're one of us. You have to be Black. And it's like, nobody in my life growing up ever said I had to behave, Irish. No one said, "Oh, you can't do that. You're half Japanese." Nobody ever said shit like that. And I think it's that clannishness that is very damaging. And it feeds into the look at this one group of people as a group. We see that with Black Americans and Jewish Americans, especially, is this insular group that if you're Black, Jewish, you have to be a certain way. I mean, that's the real standout ones to me, where it seems like it's culturally detrimental to the individual. I mean, Mexican Americans, there's that Latino pride thing, and there is definitely a love of Latino culture, but that never stops Mexicans from being into death metal. They didn't have people in their neighborhood saying, "Hey, you can't listen to death metal, you can't play death metal, you're Mexican." That never happened. That never stopped any punks. I mean, shit, Black Flag had a Mexican American as their singer. That sort of expectation wasn't there. I'm also a hint of Welsh. I'm also Welsh with a hint of German on my dad's side. The truth is, I'm a bit Welsh too. I just say Irish because it's easier to say Irish, Welsh, and basically, I'm half Celt. Just put simply, I'm half Celt. And that's really what I mean by it. Ironic that Yahtzees thought the Irish were subhuman when they were the closest to Atlantis, according to the myths they popularized. Yeah, I know. They also hated the Slavs for some reason. But what is it used for? What is the point of the Aryans? What is the point of the Aryans? Well, during Germany in World War II, it was used to rally this mythology of a master race. But I think in modern terms, really, what's the use is just finding out our anthropology and our lineages and where we came from, I guess. if Germans are really do if Germans really do have some sort of tie to Hungary and Persia somewhere along the bloodline, that's just interesting. That's just anthropology and history or prehistory in action, and it's just good to know. I mean, because we want to know our as human beings, I think we want to know our story, right? You know, I take interest in the Celts because I want to know my story. Um, when I finally found out that I was half Japanese, I've taken increased interest. I mean, I always had an interest for some reason, but I've taken increased interest because that's our story. Um, Celts sacking Rome in the Republic days gave the Romans the paranoia to invade their neighbors. Yeah, well, the Celts weren't exactly the most peaceful bunch. Black Americans are racist due to themselves being stupid. I'm not going to make that. I can't. See, the problem with that statement, Tweldy, is that regardless of a consensus view from a poll, or the fact that there's a large number of the black community who do hate white people, I guess maybe just because I'm Gen X and I was raised in the 90s, I still have to see each person as the individual first before I make any sort of statement. And I think that's really unfair to just make the sweeping black Americans are. I mean, yeah, I can't go there. I mean, I certainly wouldn't use that sentence in reference to, Larry Elder or Thomas Sowell. I mean, the Thomas Sowell's a genius, and like I said, it's just the wokeism has forced us to dig into the truth of stereotypes and genetics, and I'm not happy about it. We didn't need to. We really didn't need to go there. We all kind of agreed that while there would be use for it, it was a dangerous rabbit hole. Let's leave it alone. But no, I'm not comfortable just saying Black Americans are. I think that's part of the problem is that we can say Black Americans are. I mean, you can't make the same sweeping statement about white Americans or Asian Americans. Well, okay, maybe you can say Asian Americans work hard. I don't know. Asian Americans are bad drivers and like math. I don't know what you want to say. But I mean, nobody really takes that shit too seriously. No one takes that to heart. If you say something about Black Americans, that's a bit different. And I, it's soul crushing to want to think of people in those groups. And it's soul crushing to watch people cling on to those groups and conform to them when they don't have to be. And I don't know. It's just I can't see Sean or Aloise or anyone, any of the other Black listeners here as anything but individuals. To think of them in any other way kind of strikes me as disgusting. And like I said, granted, I'm Gen X, and that was kind of how we were raised, and that's how we came up. But you know, whatever. It's just we didn't have to come here. We did not have to arrive at the place we are. Okay. You're German, Irish, and English. Well, yeah, you're a Euromut. Very, yeah. Thing about the Irish is they have sex with everybody. um, there was a radical left liberal base that wants to take your guns. Yeah, that's true. I'm not racist, but black people are stupid. Somebody on the internet. It's yeah, and those sorts of sweeping judgments aren't fair. But at the same time, when the black community starts grabbing to an idea of a black identity, um, it makes those sweeping statements possible. Am I making sense here? Does that make any sense? Owen, want to hear an interesting combination? I'm half black and on my mom's side, Welsh on my dad's side. That's more common than you'd think, actually. Did you know that? That is far more common than you'd think. Then I said, again, Celts in general will have sex with just about anybody. Seems to be in our blood. Um, I mean, you start digging into genetics and you say, you look, are Irish people, Asian people, um, Russians, sub-Saharans genetically different? The answer is yes, actually. But do we really want to go down that path? Um, and I think the real dangerous one is the sub-Saharan one specifically, because Aborigines in Australia and sub-Saharans seem to have a significant genetic difference than everybody else. Everyone else, the genetic differences are minor. They're not cosmetic, but they're minor. But there is a significant genetic difference with specifically sub-Saharans, and that has a lot to do with the Neanderthal blood genetics that swept through Europe and Asia. The sub-Saharan Africans have none, and that's an uncomfortable thing to bring up. I mean, the fact is, the different ethnicities have different bone structures. You know, when I was a kid, they always said, if you looked at a black skeleton and a white skeleton, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Well, that actually isn't true, apparently. Same with Asians. They're not the same. You can tell the difference. Fuck, sub-Saharans apparently don't have the same aquatic buoyancy as white people. Why do we have to get into this, though? It's that this shit should be behind us by now, but the left has forced us to dig this shit up. And I don't know. I haven't talked about it a whole lot on air, but all of this coming to the surface has been very, very difficult on me. It's a way of thinking I'm not comfortable with. It's something I don't think we need to focus on. But that unfortunately, where we are here and now, we're going to have to look. The left has forced the point. Teweldi is from Eritrea, a country that used to be part of Ethiopia. He was talking about Black Americans. Oh, fuck, Ethiopians are genetically different. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm going to guess just off the top of my head that Teweldi's probably got a tall, wiry build and long legs. Just a guess. Nah, the Neanderthals probably did us some good, Ginger. Not a bad thing at all. They mixed up the gene pool. They tossed in a few things in there to help broaden the genetic diversity of Europe and Asia. And there is a very real possibility that they taught us the tools of civilization, which gave Europe and Asia a head start. There's some pretty strong evidence now that Neanderthals lived in tribes. We do know they used simple tools. They probably had a simple language and even possibly an alphabet of some sort that they passed on to us and gave Europe and Asia a head start in civilization. They also probably taught us some simple building techniques, which is, again, another thing that nobody wants to talk about. That apparently makes the archaeological world very uncomfortable. Yeah, the real racism is against the green M&M. I might have some African in my ancestry, but not really sure. My ancestry is closer to Europe and Central Indigenous. Oh, so am I wrong? Why did I assume you were black then? Well, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I know that I just figured you. Oh God, I thought somebody told me you were black, and then you said you were from Central America, and I know that there are Central American and Caribbean blacks that are very, very culturally different than Africa or the United States. Cuban black is vastly different than the culture that we have in the US, for instance. The problem we are facing is that we are told all problems black people are facing are due to racism. And if you say otherwise, you're racist. Yeah. Yeah. Well, sorry for assuming wrong, Eloise. I'm not sure where I got that idea from. Thanks to 23andMe and the CIA. We are all a bit Neanderthal. Well, no, actually, see, that isn't true. Seriously. Most of us are a bit Neanderthal, but everything south of the Sahara, south of the Sahara, everyone south of the Sahara had zero Neanderthal DNA until settlers arrived. You're quite the opposite. You're short and have thin limbs. Really? Okay. Well, I guessed wrong. No. Usually, the Ethiopians and North Africans I've met have all been like rail thin, wiry, fast runners, and tall, crazy tall, basketball player tall. They say Africa has more genetic diversity than Europe because race does not exist or something. Yeah, it has more genetic diversity, but of what kind? Also, from what I understand, the tribes there don't mix a lot, or that I could be wrong. I have a friend, Ihimu, who's from Nigeria, who said that the tribalism in Africa is like insane, and that the whole the raping and pillaging part. Usually, apparently, it was you also killed everyone. But yeah, apparently, even genetically, apparently the tribes don't mix a lot because of some sort of. He's his mother and father are from two different tribes, and apparently it's like this huge scandal, and that his mother is afraid to return to her village because she married outside the clan, and she's afraid they'll kill her. The Habsburgs probably skewed the statistics a bit. Okay. Tim Allen. My family is like that. I'm the runt of the family. You know what's cool in Africa? What? Never take a genetic test. My dad is Costa Rican. A heavily Spaniard stock. My mom is half Mexico, mosquito. I think you say mestizo or mosquito. I think you mean mestizo, and half white Texan. Yeah, the problem with those genetic tests is they lie too, which for political reasons, which is kind of fucked. Let's see. Nice, I'm American. Well, see, that's what I regard myself as. I'm an American. Yeah, I'm mixed race. I'm an American. That's what Americans usually are. America wasn't necessarily about bloodlines. America, was we settled here. Now granted, it was settled primarily by a handful of white nations. The United States is very um, um, Anglo and Celt, very Dutch, some German, but to even consider that as the same thing is kind of ridiculous. Those are each very different groups. What about Sir Mix-a-Lot? I get the feeling he's mixed a lot. I like Sir Mix-a-Lot. Larry Longlegs viewer. Yep, 100% African. Okay. Oh joy, you just have to love that non-Western enlightenment. I don't know. It's frustrating. It is very, very frustrating. And yeah, the fact that Scott Adams, getting back to the point, is everyone's losing their shit, not because and the only reason they're losing this shit is because he's not wrong to some degree. There is some truth in what he says. If Scott Adams was dead wrong, no one would fucking care. It wouldn't upset so many people. Do you know what I mean? The Neanderthals gave us great big dicks. Well, actually, they didn't, but that's another story. That actually isn't true. Homo sapiens were probably more hung than the Neanderthals were. There's also some theories that the Neanderthals were more interested in Homo sapien women because they didn't look like their men. Neanderthal women looked like Neanderthal men. And there were giants in those days. And they found, what was it? Oh God, I forget. The Mortal Women Comely or something like that. Let me get the quote. There we go. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, they bare children to them, the same mighty men were of old and of renown. Well, Neanderthals were a lot taller than we were. And apparently there is some real proof they found Homo sapien women more interesting. Just think about that for a second. People in Africa are really backwards to the idea of marriage outside the tribe. Same with Eritrea and Ethiopia. Really? Okay. Yeah, speaking of Ethiopians, again, the reason I don't like to make the sweeping statement about black people, Ayan Hirsi Ali, she's Ethiopian. That woman I have incredible respect for. She's incredible. I also consider you an American. Ishi, I also consider you American. You are confirmed. I want to be American too. Well, I hope you get here to Weldy. I really do. I consider myself American. I like to do research on my family roots, though. Yeah, well, see, that's part of being an American, right? Exactly. And I really do like the days when it was, yeah, we're Americans. We're all mixed. We all came from other places, but we're Americans. And that used to be a thing. And the left did everything they could to kill that unity. Thanks, Obama. Clan of the Cave Bear, modern human women look like Daryl Hannah to all the Neanderthals. That actually probably is true. They probably, in their eyes, did look like Daryl Hannah. Neanderthal men preferred Homo sapien women because Neanderthal women looked like Neanderthal men. I guess nothing ever changes. It only repeats. No, seriously, that is, that whole thing about, the Neanderthals were wiped out by Homo sapiens. That's just more anti-human bullshit that got cooked up in the 60s. The hard science behind it, the evidence is we actually lived right alongside them. We didn't go to war with them. And the growing body of evidence, which again, people are very uncomfortable with, is that there were more humans than Neanderthal, and they mated themselves out of existence because they preferred human women. And the theory is because Neanderthal women looked like men. They didn't have noticeable breasts. Their builds were almost identical to the men. The theory is that they preferred human females. And again, there's plenty of genetic evidence for that. Another theory also is that because the Neanderthal women were just like the men, predators were just as likely to attack the woman as they were the man, where because the Homo sapien man is taller, bigger, and stronger, predators were always going to go for the man first and leave the woman. And hence, the lineage lives on because the woman's pregnant, right? Or raising children. Ishi's not American. I draw the line at extraterrestrials. Okay, out of the human suit. I'm from Zeta Reticula. Well, I've never heard that before in my life. I even studied evolutionary biology. Don't judge me, chat. Yeah, dig into it. It's, again, evolutionary biology, that is a subject they're very uncomfortable talking about the truth. What college is often very heavily edited now. They don't want to address a lot of things. But yeah, look into the whole thing about Neanderthal. There's tons of it. And more just keeps getting dug up. Oh, is she Somalian? Why did I think she was Ethiopian, dude? Eh, fuck, I'm an idiot. Here, somebody sample that. I was certain she was Ethiopian. But I don't know. Somalia is a pretty unpleasant place. Yeah, you're right. Somali born. Yeah, well, geez. And here this whole time I thought she was Ethiopian. I'm checking her bio. Notice that the moment the more and more things she said were based, the more and more they didn't want her talking anymore. Oh, here we go. This is where I made the mistake. After her father escaped prison, he left for Somalia in 1977, going to Saudi Arabia and then settling in Ethiopia. And then after that, apparently they moved to Kenya in 1980. So there you go. That's why I thought she was Ethiopian. Homo heidelbergensis is interesting. African is African. No one cares about the 600 different countries I am right. Well, I will say that there's a startlingly sad number of people who think Africa is a country, not a bunch of nations. Remember that ad with the Native American shedding a tear? They're retiring the ad claiming the use of a Native Americans is inappropriate. Well, fuck them, because Iron Eyes Cody wasn't a real Native American. Did you know that? He was Italian. He started that act up and he lived with it. And I guess at some point they made him an honorary tribe member. But Iron Eyes Cody actually was Italian. And it was just a routine he started doing, and he just lived it. I don't know. So quickly. Why wouldn't women go for the predators, though? Just like how they typically go for babies. I assume men are still more likely to die. Oh, no, because this is real. If you're in a situation where the predator is attacking a group, okay, the big one with the club is the one that it's going to view as a threat, and knows that if it goes for the little one with the kids, the big one with the club is going to kill it. So it goes to kill the big one with the club first. That's pretty typical. So I'm going to step away for just a second. And I've been talking a lot, and I've kind of spilled my guts on how much this race stuff really, really just turns my stomach. And again, seeing all that we had achieved in the 90s, 80s, 90s, aughts, die such a quick death has been real painful to watch, and that just how thoroughly uncomfortable I am with the group. Putting everyone in groups is just stomach churning to me. So I'm gonna take a bathroom break and play you a video. And then I'll come back. I want you guys to put your comments on this, what you think of all this bullshit. So I'll be right back. Shit, I'm on. All right. Well, I am purged, and yeah, I'm purged. I'm purged. I've got an orange and a cup of coffee. I'm ready for lunch. What was that music? That's okay. Let's see. Let's see. Don't say globe on this channel. You're all talking about whether I took a dump or not. I'm not going to say. That's one of those functions that I just deal with. Among the many human functions, that's not one I enjoy. Of course, one of the reasons, shit's just gross in general, I guess. But because I got shot and there was a bullet lodged in my stomach or my intestines. Let me grab my coffee. Because a bullet got lodged in my intestines, when the surgeon took it out of me, he had to remove a foot of intestine. And that part's never worked as well anymore. I mean, I don't have any like tubes in me or any shit like that, but yeah, that part of my body doesn't work as well as it should. Not fun. Not fun at all. Here, I'll give you some TMI. You want some TMI about poop? Yeah, that's a much better, more happy topic than the prior discussion about race and shit. You want you want to talk about my poop? Because of the fact that I've got a I think it's like an 8-inch scar across my stomach right above my intestines. And because they had to remove a foot of my intestines to get the bullet out, sometimes when I'm struggling and have to push harder, that scar in my stomach will go into full-blown spasms, and I can't stand up. I have to wait till the spasms stop, or I have to like stretch my back and arch my back in such a way that it pulls the tendons back into place. Not fun. Not fun at all. So let's see what you guys have to say. If you're going to pretend to be a member of a race, you have to put the work in. Rip Iron Eyes Cody. I was in Boy Scouts. I met him once. He was drunk out of his mind, but nice guy. He was just walking around the summer camp talking to people. Let's see. Yeah, I wonder how the Bing GPT chat would handle that word, talking about the nation of Niger. If it would lose its shit or not. Why are you guys so interested in me taking a dump, man? Can I be a GRP? I don't even know what that means. Mostly talking about how Africa is a country just that sucks balls. Actually, I didn't talk much about Africa's problems. That's you guys. God damn you guys. What the fuck's wrong with you? Okay, yes, I was taking a shit. Then I got an orange and got some coffee, iced coffee. Neostar says intersectionality has been the death of race relations. Yes, it has. Tweldy likes it. Cool. You like that's Frontline Assembly. Outcast from the Tactical Neural Implant album. That is their best album. If you're going to buy a Frontline Assembly album, that is the one. All the race bullshit is an old problem that is only amusing in its stupidity. My favorite takeaway is people are people. AI is coming through. Okay. Uh, Victim, what is music? That's obvious. People, people are people will be racist. Should I play the Depeche Mode song? Ginger says he saw a person once. Well, you live in Sacramento, so either they were woke or drunk. Well, Tawelli, if you really liked that track, I'll play another one from that album sometime called Biomechanic. It's even better. Excuse me while I eat my orange here. Mm. Do I repost the game streams? Well, it should still be in the. I didn't take it down last night's game stream. Why are you talking about me taking a fucking dump? So much of this is stoked by the investment class because they think beans come from a can and electricity comes from an. Yeah, I agree. What's the saying? An individual is smart, but a group is stupid. Yeah, that's one of the. It's almost a libertarian dictum. Okay. Grays used to use one vent like a chick. Intersectionality is the philosophy of division, yet somehow they manage to convince people that it means the same as diversity and inclusion, meaning that it is opposite and both can't be true. It's communism. It plain and simple, it's us against them communism. I think Undead Quinn's right. The people on top want us divided because it's profitable to them. Although I will say that I think it started out with primarily the Democrats realizing that with gay marriage legal and basically racism pretty much a dead issue in this country, they needed to bring it back to continue to win elections because, well, if the economy's good and we're all getting along and no one, we're one people, how are the Democrats ever going to win another election? Could you imagine what would happen if there's a good economy and the majority of Americans aren't poor? What would the Democrats run on? If all the races got along, what would the Democrats run on? If it turns out all this environmental shit they made up is fake, which it is, what are they going to run on? I find it interesting is that they're running this crap. You don't be embarrassed. I pooped once too. I saw Holy Mountain this weekend. Watched literal shit turn gold in 5 minutes. It's kind of a head trip, isn't it? Let's see. Shit talk. Going down the list here. Do you know that? Yeah, I know Megalomaniac by KMFDM. I saw KMFDM live in, what was it, 1994? Going through here. That song copyrighted. What? The Frontline Assembly track get copyrighted? Now, I don't play KMFDM because that one might get me a strike. Fucking commune hippie shit. I'm a Democrat and I hate communist capitalism forever. 90s liberalism right now is basically you're far right if you're a 90s liberal. I mean, just saying. If you were a Clinton Democrat right now, you're a fucking Nazi in the eyes of the left. Oh, yeah. Rammstein's cover of Stripped by Depeche Mode is incredible. The Shit Show, new podcast. Listen, Abraham Lincoln was a woke motherfucker. This shit flip-flops all the time. Poop you maniac. Yeah, I mean, we created the myth of Abraham Lincoln as a unifying idea. And I guess for a time it worked, maybe. But the real Abraham Lincoln was a tyrant who really did deserve to get gunned down. Any advice on starting writing from scratch? Any advice on world building? I'll do a show on that, okay? Because that's too much for right now. Yeah, I can attest to that issue. Liberal academia family. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Crazy thing about KMFDM's Megalomaniac is it sings about breaking up with a girl. The girl, Taylor Swift. I have some mixed feelings. KMFDM was one of those staples from my youth that I really enjoyed. But, and I still do. I really like the old stuff. The Money album's really good. Virus, excellent. Godlike, excellent. A lot of the early stuff I enjoy a lot more than the later than what they're doing now. Really, my only problem with KMFDM as I get older is I'm kind of getting sick of them using the Red Army faction imagery. In my opinion, that they might as well be putting swastikas on the albums. Give me a second. For those of you who have stayed with me the whole time, let me grab this image for you. You may have remembered earlier I talked about Bader Meinhof, the terrorists who held Berlin hostage for a summer and raised hell in ways that Antifa could only dream of. They killed judges, bombed military bases. This is their logo, Red Army faction. And, in the 90s, it was just, okay, yeah, they're just using a symbol. But the way the left is right now, I really kind of don't, I find it kind of tacky. This is about as attractive as a swastika to me. And I don't like that KMFDM keeps using it. Didn't Rave Ogilvy from Skinny Puppy work for Taylor Swift? Oh, that was Carly Rae Jepsen. Actually, yeah, Rave from Skinny Puppy has done production work for tons and tons of people. He is one hell of a producer, probably one of the best in the business. I think his parting from Skinny Puppy was one of the worst things that could possibly happen, because hearing Skinny Puppy without Rave Ogilvy is like night and day. It's like, no, he wasn't just the producer. He was another musician. Okay. KMFDM leans very anarchist and lefty. I'm fine with the anarchy part, just not the communism part. Anti-authoritarian, for sure, all for it. Just, not the communist shit. Wait, if the left-wing militia with guns do what they want, they want to take away guns. That's another thing about the left. Do not ever expect consistency from them. There is none. Is MHA woke? What is MHA? I don't even know what you're talking about. They're very much they are very much I support the current thing. Yeah. So still waiting. Still waiting to find out what MHA is. Down with what with whatever this is. Oh, My Hero Academia. You know, I really don't grasp why so many woke people like that. They obviously don't grasp what the series is about, because the message about heroism and social responsibility and self-sacrifice, it is like the absolute antithesis of communism and wokeness. It is absolutely about the will of a single individual being able to rise above, be people together, and better society. I'm cracking up. Well, okay, I've been on for an hour and a half. Anybody want to get a last minute comment in? Yeah, I'll email you so you can join us tonight on the Monday show. Yeah, it's absolutely based. I mean, it holds the old spirit of the original comic books. It's about heroism, and it's about the individual and the power of the individual. And again, that is the antithesis of the left. All right, looks like you guys don't have any more questions for me, so I will get back to writing. You guys, we'll talk to you later tonight for the Monday night Threes Company, which is never three people.